everybody, welcome to the Ink Pit. We're a weekly podcast talking about comics and webcomics and zines and self-publishing. I'm Rachel Dukes. I'm a cartoonist living and working out of LA. You can read my comics online at mixtapecomics.com. And I'm also here with my buddies Mike King and Andrew Greenstone, who are going to introduce themselves.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm going first because I'm a local. I'm Mike King, and I live and work out of the woods in Arkansas on a comic called Please Keep Warm that you can read at www.pleasekeepwarm.com, all capitals. And also there's Andrew Greenstone.
Hi, I'm Andrew Greenstone. You can find me at comicsareforkids.tumblr.com, and I live and work out of Portland right now, but I sort of hop all over New England. Catch me everywhere, but here today.
Okay.
Cool. Let's get into it. Thanks for having me on the show today.
Of course. I love you.
Yeah, we love you, dude.
Yeah, no, this is the best idea. Just the idea of making a podcast out of people. It's just like people that you like all the time and getting to talk to them. And, like that's the best excuse to talk to people that you, whatever, launch into this thing.
Yeah, I have a lot of trouble making phone calls unless it's on my to-do list.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So it's nice to have a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great, that's a cool professional thing you can do when all your friends are cartoonists. Like it's, you can turn buddy talk into like talking turkey.
Yeah.
And that's like, yeah, that's the best.
Yeah. But so the reason Andrew is on the podcast today is because Rachel has worked for Boom.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Boom Studios.
And that was on, what things have you done there?
Personally, I haven't done that much yet. I did a variant cover for the Adventure Time with Fiona and Cake series, and I also did a backup story for Garfield. There are more backup stories for Garfield coming, but that's all that I have my name on so far. Whereas Andrew has a much longer list than I do.
No, I don't. Yeah, I love that. I love, there's this weird thing that, like, when people talk about me now, they talk about me as a Kaboom artist. Like, the second you say that you've done stuff for regular show, like, that becomes huge. And, like, the reality is, like, I've done maybe 2 backups for regular show. I've done, like, a couple variant covers. And, it's like, it's nothing that's, like, nothing on A-list. It's all B-list stuff. And it's, like, spotty. Like, I maybe show up maybe, like, 2 or 3 times a year. Like, I'm not, I don't think when people are, like, listing off Kaboom people, they'd think of me. But, I mean, like, maybe that's sort of how that roster works. Because, like, I don't know. I feel like I've met, like, Kaboom people here and there almost, like, everywhere I go.
Here's the thing is when I think Boom, I just think, oh yeah, I know a few people who work there, but I don't know anybody outside of the people I know.
Right. Oh yeah,
so
yeah. That's
so
true.
I was just like, I know Pronis, I know Andrew.
Yeah, that's cool. How do you know Pronis from cons or for?
I think I met him through you, and I actually tabled with him at SPX last year.
Oh, that's tight. Yeah, no, he's my like way back friend from like day one of college. And it's funny. We sort of. I mean, I mostly see him at cons now, but that's cool. Like, do you know what he's working? I know he's doing like a little bit of regular show stuff, but like, do you know what he's working on now?
I don't know.
We were talking about it at SPX, but I think it was mostly the regular show stuff.
Oh, yeah. Tight. Well, that's good. I mean, like we both know the editor from college. Like we both went to college with the editor. Well, like with the editor that was doing it at the time. It's a different editor now.
The first time I met Pronis was the SPX where I didn't table, but I was like on my stupid drunken graffiti drive across the country via Jackass, and I was only there for like 2 hours.
Yeah, that was a good show.
Yeah, and I was in a really horrible mood, and I told him he looked like Dave Sim.
Oh man, I bet he took that home for like 6 months. I bet like every time like he would crawl into bed, he'd just be like, and like he'd like going up next to his beautiful girlfriend and be like, hey Amy, like wake her up, and she'd be like, oh, what is the problem? He goes like, do you think I look like Dave Sim? She'll go, who is Dave Sim? And then he'd go back to bed and then wake up and draw beautiful comics every day. We love you, Pronis. You should listen to this. If you don't listen to this already, you should.
Yeah, also, I think Beard was one of the first minis I ever bought, but
really?
I didn't meet him.
Oh, yeah.
That SPX my first SPX, I got Beard and the Spotting Deer.
Oh, that's awesome.
Those were my 2 big moves.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Beard's a classic. Beard's gonna go down. Like one day when there's enough mini comics history to talk about like great mini comics in history, like Beard's gonna step out on that. Like there's like in my mind, there are maybe like 20 mini comics that are like the perfect embodiment of what a mini comic is. And like, and Beard's definitely on that list for sure.
Okay, wait, Andrew, name 4 more of your 20.
Okay, Beast Mother. Like Beast Mother for me is like is the it. Like that's the the epitome of like what a good mini comic is. That's by Eleanor Davis. Night on or shoot, it's like Night on something mountain. Crap.
We'll figure it out. We'll find the way.
I was looking at it like yesterday. It kills me that I can't remember it. That sucks that you put me on the spot.
Sorry.
I'll think of some other stuff.
We don't have to finish. We can also cut this back together later.
No, you say that like there's like I know that there's no real editing that happens. There's no jumping
you'd be surprised.
Oh, really?
You would be surprised. We took out a whole 15-minute rant or 15-minute section where I think me and Dave were really tense talking about whether the best stories have been told in comics yet.
Oh, did that get cut? That's hilarious.
Oh, I cut it. It was so tense.
I want to hear that. I want like one day when you drop an issue, like an episode, like you just can't do it that week. I want all of the stuff that got cut.
Yeah, we also cut a huge part talking about Patreon last week.
Did we?
Okay.
Yeah. And it was still 55 minutes. And also, I'm going to cut this part where we're talking about things getting cut.
Yeah.
No way. You should
I'm not. I just let everybody know what they're missing out on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so, everybody listening, that's that stuff you missed. Me talking about my Patreon and getting mad. So, today what we're talking about specifically, though, is working for other publishers who aren't yourself, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys have both done those jobs, and I auditioned and crashed and burned terribly for the regular show job.
How did that go? What was that like for you?
It was really weird because I'm like I don't work off scripts, and I don't I have this thing where anytime someone tells me how something should be done, I don't do it.
Yeah.
So it was like the worst environment for me to be working in.
Yeah, for sure.
And
do you know who the script was by?
No, it was just a 1-page script.
Okay, because I've written a couple of those. I don't know if they've gotten approved yet. There's a lot of stuff I feel like I have like a lot of projects with them that sort of are like in limbo.
Yeah, no, it was really interesting because I think Rachel just sent me a text message and she was like, or maybe Mikey did, but it was just like, hey, do you want to try out for regular show? Because I had done some regular show art, like just drawings of the characters.
Yeah, I think that Mike had seen the stuff in the blog, and then my Mike, not you, had seen stuff on your blog, and then was like, hey, does Mike want to do that? And that's when I texted you, and then you said, I don't know, maybe. And so then Mike put your name on a list.
Well, the really messed up thing is I think those drawings were pretty good, and the ones I ended up doing in the audition, just because of the way you're expected to draw comics for that, ended up just being atrocious.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean,
so
it's all sort of arguable.
Yeah. So I had just gotten, Rachel, like, how did you guys both auditioned, right?
Sort of. Most of my experience has been about like need, like the second they give me an inch, I try to take a mile. I'm really aggressive with those guys. So it's like I don't know, Rachel, why don't you tell your story first? Mine's long.
Mine's much shorter. My husband Mike was working at Boom Studios as a graphic designer, and had put my name on a list of potential artists that went out to all the editors. And I was known, but they didn't know that I was available and interested.
Yeah.
And Shannon contacted me about doing a variant cover for Adventure Time, because like what Mike was doing, I was just posting a lot of fan art on my blog.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but for me, a lot. Like, I had posted a couple of pieces.
I posted one drawing.
Yeah, like, I think I had posted, like, maybe 2 things, because I don't do a ton of fan art. And, and Shannon was like, well, send me some sketches of things that you would do if you were given a variant cover. And then one of them ended up being approved, and so that's how I ended up doing the variant for Fiona and Cake. But then since my name was on that circulating list, Chris, who's the editor on Garfield, saw all my Frankie comics that are that are on Mixtape Comics, and he's like, "Oh, Rachel likes to draw cats." Yeah. So then he sent my blog to Paws, who's Jim Davis's company that does all the Garfield books.
Yeah.
And then they approved me to do Garfield art, and so that's how I started doing the backups for Garfield.
Yeah. Have you ever like contacted those guys like cold since then? Have you ever just like emailed Paws and said like, "Hey, can I get some more stuff?"
No, I mean, because I can email Chris and ask, and then he sends me stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, there was actually a backup story. We had talked last year about me doing backups fairly regularly. Yeah. And then my life just sort of imploded in the middle of the year. Which I saw you then when I was stranded back east.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And so my life imploded for a couple of months, and my work schedule got kind of thrown off, and then I was dealing with all the snafus with the graphic novel and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. You were doing it so well, though. I mean, like, I definitely remember being like, there's no way that I could travel and get this much stuff done and, like, be on top of my professional game as much as you were. I mean, like, it was like you hunkered down on a couch, like, with your tablet and your laptop, like, cranking your thing, and you're, like, just, like, cranking your thing out before you could go have a drink in a bar. And, that was amazing to me, where, like, in order for me to have my professional life together, I have to, like, it's me at the table, and like I close my door and I don't talk to my roommates, and I just like get my stuff done. I just like swear at myself until it gets done. And like the idea, if I'm leaving for something, if I'm going on a trip, like I am 100% on vacation. Like nothing gets done. Like if I go to a con, like that's my vacation. Is like I spend my time there, and I just drink, and I maybe like talk some turkey, but I never like. I never was a good. You like that? That happened just now. That's a talking turkey.
That's definitely like my best way to work. Is the thing you just described, where I'm totally isolated and I'm either working or I'm not working. But, I knew I was going to be stranded on the East Coast for like 2 months. Like I had to find a way to make it work.
Yeah, that's insane.
So, but I mean, if doing that second Garfield backup last year was the only thing that fell off my schedule, like, it kind of worked out.
Yeah, for sure. Well, cool. That's awesome.
But how did you start with Boom and Kaboom?
I was in Brooklyn. I was living in Brooklyn for 4 months, doing an internship for Augenblick that does like they do lots of stuff. I think they did like the first season of Super Jail, and they did like Ugly Americans and a lot of other stuff. And I was like, I was doing tween animation there. And I didn't know anybody, and I was like completely alone. I was like, it was a weird situation. But Mocha happened then, and I just like and I decided to kick over. Like I didn't have anything to show. Like my mini game had long since dried up. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll go and maybe I'll see some friends. Like, that'll be really cool. And, like, I went to a before party that was at Desert Island Comics in some part of Brooklyn, Williamsburg. And so, I get there, and Jen Vaughn is there. And Jen Vaughn had, I think we all know her from CCS. Did any of you know Jen Vaughn when she was at CCS?
I knew Jen from actually right before she went to CCS. We met at Mocha.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, like, I knew her from there, when everybody at this podcast, like, we all know each other from being in White River Junction together. That's the connection, I think. Like, you guys don't know each other before White River Junction, right?
We met at CCS, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like, that turned out to be a cool move. And so like I met Jen Vaughn from there. I saw her, and she just got her gig at Fantagraphics, and she's wheeling and dealing, like she's kind of coming into herself in like this really huge way. And she, and I just mentioned, I think she was like, "What are you doing?" And I said like, "Oh yeah, I'm just trying to stir it from some freelance, get some balls rolling. I've got like, a lot of time on my hands, when I wasn't working and doing this thing." I mean, like I was in a bad part of Brooklyn, so like I didn't go out a lot. Like, I just, I was far away in the subway. Like I wasn't finding anything. I was super broke. And like, just the whole thing was really overwhelming for me. And I'm like, yeah, I just want to spend all my time that I'm not doing this internship and working my job drawing. And she was like, "Oh yeah, okay, well, I did some stuff with Kaboom or Adventure Time, and she said that she should, that if I had any friends, I should pass them on because she liked all these CCS kids work. So do you want me to do that? And I went, yes, I want you to do that. And I thought it was going to be like A for Adventure Time and that like B, they were going to be at Mocha. So like I went home, which is like 2 hours from Williamsburg to like Flatbush where I was. And I went home and I stayed up all night and I like wrote and drew a 4-page Adventure Time comic that no one ever saw.
I saw that at Mocha. You showed me.
Okay, yeah, because I was.
Was there a sword in the stone motif in it?
Yeah. It was they pull a sword of the stone, but it was really like corking up this weird like sea and stuff. Yeah, I thought it was great. I did it all that night. I came back into Manhattan and I was just like tired and weird, and I had my portfolio but like nothing else, and I was just like totally haggard. They weren't there. But Jen was so awesome to me that weekend. Like she gave me like a free pass to Mocha, and like I got to hang out, and she was just like, she was really cool to me. She was there like working. She was working really hard. But she did that, and then she went and followed through on this on this Kaboom thing, and I get an email asking me if I wanted to do, I think it was like a Bravest Warriors cover at first. And it was the same deal where every time they ask you to do something, they tell you to pitch a bunch of ideas, and then they pick the one they like the best and they move forward. So like I did that, and then, and it turned out that the editor there was, Whitney Leopard, who I'd gone to college with. And so it's kind of this kind of cool reunion, and it wasn't weird because we'd both like sort of seen each other, and it'd been a little while. We both went to SCAD, and that kind of made everything a little easier. And then after that, it's just like, she'll give me a thing, but like I know her, so I don't feel bad about like emailing her about 10 things, So that's just like, every month after that, I would email her and go like, what else you got? What else you got? What else you got? And like, not a lot. Like Kaboom has like a lot of awesome artists. And so, it wasn't, it's like it was tricky to get more stuff, but I mean, it's mostly, like through that I got to do, the shorts, and through that I got to do all kinds of stuff. And it's always just been like, lately it's just been me trying to, get a bigger piece of that pie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my story.
The clear factor in all of our experiences is we know a guy.
Yeah, which is totally unhelpful for anybody.
Yeah, so is there any advice anybody has for people who just don't know?
Well, I don't know.
They
for
do
you
have
guys,
a submissions page that they do check.
They do check it though?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. And you go.
I don't know how useful it is. I don't know how frequently they check it, but I do know that it exists and that they do check it.
Yeah, for you guys both did you guys did fan art though, and like that, I always wonder about that. I always wonder like how much, because like I've since then and now, and and I knew regular show a little bit. I tested to be on the show like a year before that, so like I knew all about like the characters and how they work and like all that kind of stuff. And like I sort of am an acquaintance with one of the writers, and like that helped me a lot. But I've done like a lot of photo reference for that stuff, and I find like so much fan art. So many people are drawing Mordecai and Rigby.
I was just gonna say, that's the thing. It's like there's so many people who email me and they're just like, I want to work on these things so bad, and like I don't know why they're emailing me because all I do is self-publish. But it's like,
yeah,
they so passionately want to work on these other people's projects, whereas when Rachel sent me the message, I was like, I don't know, let me think about it.
Yeah, because it blows my mind that like that there's there's like a ton of people on DeviantArt like working this stuff out, like just sweating their ideas through these other characters so bad. And like I think the thing that all of us had in common is like kind of such a mild interest to do that. Like like in my like I'm stuttering, but every personal experience I've had with people that have worked for those properties, it's mostly they don't necessarily want to tell a Mordecai and Rigby story or like an Adventure Time story so much as they want to just like tell good stories. Like they're way more focused on getting stories done and done well and done like, on time. And, and it doesn't necessarily, and like it's about being versatile so much more than like wanting to, talk through these other characters. So maybe that's a thing. I don't know.
No, I think that's very astute. Like I hadn't really thought about it that way, but you're right. That is very much the one thing. Yeah.
Right. Because that's sort of the one thing we have in common is that like we're all despite like we all do our thing and we're really passionate about it, but there's a part of us that's all like we're all hired guns to a certain extent. Like we can all do that kind of hired gun work. I mean, like I know you guys all do like posters and you do other stuff. I mean, like there's all kinds of versatility. Like we want to say that we're known for this and that and the other. I mean, like and my thing isn't necessarily. I don't necessarily want to be known as a kaboom artist, like exclusively. I don't want to be at the top of my resume.
Mm-hmm.
But we're all able to do like lots of stuff and like fairly quickly. Like our turnaround is really fast.
Well, the thing is, a lot of these people who are drawing all these amazing Mordecai and Rigby's aren't doing it in comic form either.
Oh yeah.
Which is probably a big part of that. Is like just a lot of people who are fantastic at drawing comics cannot draw, or fantastic at just drawing and drawing these characters cannot draw a page of comics to save their life.
Yeah, I mean, but who knows? I mean, like there's that famous story, like Brian Lee O'Malley's assistant, like he started using assistants at the end of
Jason Fisher.
Yeah, he was drawing Scott Pilgrim porn like way before, and like Brian Lee O'Malley saw it, and he's like, "This is pretty good." I mean, like, it's got to be weird, but he hired that guy. He's like, at least I know that he can draw these things really well.
Yeah. Jay Fish is a talented artist in his own right, like not just being able to mimic Brian's style and not just happened to have been drawing Scott Pilgrim porn. Like he was doing Jay Fish and the Dark Rainbow, and he's done a lot of work for anthologies, and he's done so many things other than that. I think it was easy for Brian to look at Jason's website and go, okay, not only do I know that he can draw my characters, and engaged in this, that, and the other, but he can also draw a page of comics that's good in his own right. So he knew that Jason, knew what he was doing.
He was just doing like crowd scenes and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can see it at the end of Volume 6. Like the end of Volume 6, like it's definitely like there are other dudes in that, the style changes dramatically to get the book out on time.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. I mean, like props to Brian Lee O'Malley for like getting the book out on time. That's so huge that like he's at the wheel of this massive ship and he's on top of the movie. He's like boarding for the movie. He's doing all this stuff. He's like getting, bringing this whole series to a close. And it's huge that he managed to finish the 6th book like in a time. Like so some of the stuff that I was so stoked to read, but like right when it was supposed to be done, like huge props.
Yeah. So
Brian, if you're listening, you're not listening.
If only.
What do you think Brian Lee O'Malley's doing right now?
He's looking at Scott Pilgrim porn and fidgeting.
Yeah.
I could edit that out.
Just Googling his own name.
I would love to Google my own name, but there's a gay porn star named Mike King. And
really?
Yeah, it's actually
so
pretty
cool.
It's pretty fun to Google my own name, but
I'm doing that right now.
Find nothing of use to my career, but
maybe.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's like, So do we even have anything valuable besides make friends with the people we know?
Well, no. Okay, that's huge though. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
No, because like the deal is like we all came out to that. Like, I mean, like I came out to that show. I mean, like Rachel's been dealing with comic book people forever. You've been dealing with comic book people forever. And like, that's such a huge part to getting like work in the community. I mean, like community, if you could be the best artist ever, but if you're not going out and doing stuff, then no one's going to see you. I mean, like, believe me, I hate conventions, and I had to take like a huge break from them for a while because I wasn't in a spot where I could be like productive during them. But it's so important to like get out and shake hands and like meet people who are important to you and send those when I was younger, it was so hard for me to write an email to somebody who I was admired, but like who could help me, to extend my hand out and said like, hey, could you maybe reach back down and help me out? And now, and you just have, in my experience, it takes about like a year and a half of like hating doing that and doing it anyway, for it to sort of start to yield for you. Like now it's no problem. Now I write to everybody, people I have no right to send emails to all the time.
Yeah, but like that's the thing is like once you go to conventions and go to parties with the cartoonists and things for a while, you see enough people who are like A-list people, drunk and passed out, drooling on themselves on a couch, that it's just like you can talk to anybody.
Oh yeah, big time.
Like,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like, I've definitely met like all my comic heroes. No matter what. I mean, like comic book people aren't like dicks. They're not unapproachable. Like they just like they love to hang out in their little house. Like they're not like it's not like there's no separation between you and they at all. I mean, if you're working really hard, like so are they. Like they're just super approachable, and you can connect with them on all the like they still like all the same stuff you do. Like there's no way that you can't just make friends with anybody you want to make friends with. And just send those emails out.
To be said as well is cartoonists aren't always the in. Like, make friends with editors and designers and other people and writers and other people that work in the industry as well.
yeah.
Because that's something that I notice a lot, especially in messages that I get, where, and it's something that I did when I was younger as well, where it's like you're reaching out to cartoonists because they're your heroes, but they're not the only people in the industry, and they're not necessarily the people creating the projects to get you the work.
Yeah, that's huge for sure.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, like,
Who wants to email an editor? Like, I'm such a fan of your work. I love how you told this person what they couldn't do.
I really like the books you put out.
I don't mean that in like a cold calling email sort of way, but just in regards to like being at conventions and like going to parties, like talk to everybody.
Yeah.
Right, and establish a relationship. I mean, like, well, it's one of the things. Like, if you're making minis, like a good thing to do, and like, and it's kind of like what you want to do. Like, this was a strategy that I had, and it kind of dried up for me because like mini comics kind of dried up for me. Like, I mean, not forever, but for a while. But I mean, it used to be that like every time I went to a convention, I would hand a mini to Chris Staros. I'd walk up to Chris Staros, I go, "Hey, Chris Staros, do you remember me?" And he'd say, "Yes, I do." And then I would hand him a new mini. And like, and like that's, and that's what they would always tell you to do. It's just like every time you see somebody at a convention, hand them the next thing you've done, because then they know that you like are serious about it and that you keep doing stuff and that your stuff gets better.
And things actually get done.
Yeah, and things actually get done. And like, that's huge. And yeah, always be like, it's always great to like ask them what's appropriate, like what's the appropriate way to proceed if I were to proceed with you, and they'll tell you, and then you do it.
Yeah.
Like they like it's not like they're trying to avoid you. It's not like they're trying to like not get people to publish their stuff. I mean, that's easy for me to say. I'm not working on anything like that. I mean, like, my graphic novel hasn't been approved yet. Nobody, no one's seen my graphic novel yet because it doesn't exist. Well, I mean, like, I mean, that's an interesting thing. I mean, like, that's, I guess, what I want to talk to you about, Rachel. I mean, like, do you want to tell your Abrams story? Like, or like, how that connection happened? I mean, or was it the same as the Kaboom stuff?
I feel like I told this story. What context did I tell the story in? Mike, did I talk about this last week?
I don't know if we talked about how you got into that. I don't think we did.
I feel like I did, but it might have been separate from the podcast. It could have been Dave and I just talking.
Yeah. Well, you can go over it again, and people can fast forward.
Or we can... I'll tell a truncated version of the story in case I talked about it last week. I don't know if I can tell a truncated version.
Just do it. Just do it. You have a beautiful voice, and people want to hear it.
Okay.
Did they just kill everything?
I don't know.
So, Andrew, you'll know what this is in case this is, anybody's listening that... Anyway. So, at the Center for Cartoon Studies, there's an event called Industry Day. And it happens near the end of the year.
Oh, yeah, you totally did this.
I know, I totally did this last week.
Yeah, you definitely told the story.
Though.
Yeah.
Okay, well, no, okay, I forgot. So, yeah, that's an interesting... Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, the short version of the story was I never sent an official pitch to Abrams. It just so happened that I had to sit down with the editor who I accidentally had a pre-existing relationship with anyway.
This is going to be so frustrating for anybody who wants answers.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah, maybe
but it led to me sending them an official pitch, which they then approved.
So I think our answer is know Rachel's husband and be a cool guy in Brooklyn. Okay. That's how you get work.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna keep the daisy chain going, the whole reason that my Mike ended up working at Boom was because you, Mike, and I had interned for Boom Studios at Mocha, which we
totally did.
We were students at CCS, which is how I met Adam
Oh
Stefanoni, who was
yeah.
friends with John Chad, who was a teacher at CCS. And then in
I
addition to
forgot
that,
about that.
Mike took Carol
Oh
Thompson's
god.
job when she left Boom, and Carol Thompson is a friend of ours from CCS.
Yeah. You guys got to hang out with Daniel Johnston that time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
That's
was
all.
So I don't know how much we can actually
You
talk
guys
about.
got to have Daniel Johnston be really mad at you.
Yeah, Daniel Johnson tried to punch me
Oh,
Did you
really?
I don't remember that happening.
when he stormed out.
Yeah.
I bet
Yeah,
he
like
doesn't
I was just there.
Yeah, like
Like,
you and I were not, we were just standing there when all of that went down. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, so cool.
Yeah, and we got,
So cool.
yeah, and then we got to go out to that fancy
Daniel
restaurant
Johnson.
with the Boom people.
that happened before, though. That was the night before.
Yeah, but that was I remember that restaurant. I remember that restaurant because it's the one time in my life I've eaten food that cost more than $10.
That's funny. But I mean, like, Rachel, did you pitch that project? Did you send them any kind of pitch packet to get that thing going, or was it just all like?
I sent them the pitch packet after they had officially wooed me. So it was sort of an informal after
Okay,
that.
so
Yeah.
so you said like, am I in for a project? And they said like, yes, you are in for a project. Let us know what the project is, and then.
Well, they actually they set it up more than that. They said, we definitely want you for a project. Looking through this packet of things, these are the 3 projects that we want to do. We want to start with this one. So
Okay. So,
they kind of already set it up. Like, they just wanted me to send in an official pitch for the thing that they had already decided.
okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
And so,
like it was sort of an unusual situation.
All right, and yeah, I forget. Like, I mean, like, is this your story, or is this like, are you collaborating with them to produce a thing?
Um, I'm officially writing and drawing the whole thing, but there's been a significant amount of changes from the editorial team within the last couple of months.
I got you. Okay, no, so that's still you doing, like, that's still your project. Like, and that's your idea. And so, I mean, like, I don't know, maybe that's useful. I don't, for something. Cause like, I have no idea. Like, I'm getting ready to pitch stuff. It's one of the things, like, on my, like, timeline of stuff this year, I have a bunch of projects that are, like, ready to fire. I mean, like, whenever I went to school, like, when I was in college, sort of the idea, and, like, with the economy being where it's at, and, like, where editors being where they were at, the idea was, like, if you have a project, it should probably be mostly done before they pitch it to you. And I remember having, like, that in my head, like, the idea that, like, I needed to have, like, 100 pages drawn before I could even, like, tell anybody I was doing this thing.
I do think that it's helpful. That's not necessarily the case. But, like, given the situation that I went through where I had done a short story that then we were going to rewrite and then I was going to draw the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then there was this huge gap of contact and lack of movement forward. Like, if I had already had 50 to 100 pages drawn of this 160-page story, I would be in a much better position now, so many months, like, butted up against my deadline, than had I come to them with just a simple outline or the first, 40 pages or something.
Yeah, but I mean, that's still huge. I'm like, because in my head, it was like, and this kind of messed me up for a couple of years. Like, this idea that, like, a project needed to be, like, super significantly done before anyone would even say okay to it. And, like, that's in a way, especially for, like, a young artist, like, that's insanity, because you get, like, 20 pages in and then you realize you're like, I haven't even done this before. Like, and you start doubting yourself, and, like, no one's seen it, so you don't know if it's good. Like, this kind of thing happens in a bubble where, like, you work on this thing and you're like, okay, this is my story and this is what I want to tell people and this is how to create, like, good finished product. And then, like, the second you, like, look back at it, you have, like, no context as to, like, whether or not this thing needs to be edited or it's, like, good at all. And so, like, and that crushes your thing. I've definitely, like, started and stopped on, like, many projects in my younger years that way.
I mean, I still do that. That's just sort of what happens when you create work in a vacuum.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I guess the key is, like, don't create work in a vacuum. Like, show everybody everything at every stage, which is, like, kind of my deal now. It's like I let people know, like, what I've been doing all the time, and I let them know, like, how the project could potentially, progress. Yeah. I mean, like, everything I do, I mean, like, and that's turned into, like, I've got one graphic novel that I'm trying to push forward, but I've got like maybe 4 or 5 short stories or like pitch packets that could easily turn into a project, and I just sort of like sit there waiting on them for the right time for me to like pull them out and show people.
So I have a question. So I am currently working on a few graphic novel type situations right now.
Yeah.
And I had never even considered pitching them to a publisher.
Yeah, well, I mean, like Mike, you're such a freak.
But
that like
the question is that something that I should be looking into?
If you're interested in it. I mean,
yeah,
dependent on the type of project, if you could get somebody to pay you to do the thing and then actually distribute it much wider than you or I or Andrew could do by our lonesome, like.
Yeah, I mean, like, and it's different because you're a monster, Mike. Like, you're not like a regular person where you just go like, okay, I'm gonna go do this thing, and then you just go off and do it. I mean, like, you self-publish like a huge volume in like a year, and not too many people can do that. So like that's like I mean, it's almost like you have a pretty good thing going by your like, without having to deal with people that'll tell you no at like certain spots or like or make you change your stuff or make you like, do edits that you don't want to do, or like take you around for cash or like any of that stuff, like any of the bad stuff that could happen dealing with other people. I mean, like, it's just about like where you want your book to be.
Yeah.
I mean, or like, or what your personal numbers are. I mean, like, it's harder for you because like you guys have sort of like a fan base and you guys have like kind of analytics that work for you. I mean, like, I've got maybe 200 followers on Tumblr, and like that's like, that's about where I'm at. No one knows where I am. I've got like nowhere to go but up. I'm at this like awesome place where like, nobody knows where I am, but nobody cares. And like in my head, it's not so much of like I'm not trying to get readership as I'm trying to like get the attention of like 4 or 5 people. Like, I'm knocking at doors and like trying to impress like, door guards. There's a word for that. That kind of stuff is more like where my head is at, instead of like trying to get 500 people interested in the thing I do so that they'll buy a product that I have, which is like huge. Like maybe like, I mean, I ask myself like whether or not I should be doing that like all the time. But I don't know. I just like, I mean, I like working on big things, and like that's sort of more important to me. And I kind of rather like do the work to shoot at that stuff. I mean, like I've been spending a whole time doing a lot of stuff. Like the last summer was all about, I wasn't doing comics at all last summer. I was just testing for animated TV shows just like all summer. And that's what I did. And then like I stopped and now I'm doing comics again. And like, it'll probably switch back and forth until something hits. But, until that, you just do all the stuff that you can do. But I don't know. I'm doing great stuff now. I've got like a ton of little projects lined up. So that totally fell off, huh?
Say, you'd be surprised what I can edit out.
Well, great.
I think that the point of Andrew's story was that it really depends on what you want and what your intentions are, because your options are vast.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, a huge part is like knowing what you want to do, and like, kind of like knowing where you want to make an impression.
Well, that sucks. That requires self-awareness.
Well, yeah, you need to self-awareness. But I mean,
I mean, there's definitely
you could
benefits
also just
to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just to like, so Mike, you and I both spend a ton of our time doing social media promotion and like tweeting, Facebook, Tumblr, like garnering readers and like making people, know what we're doing, and basically like promotions.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're working with a publisher, they do all of that for you. Like, you create the book and then they have a whole team of people that do that thing.
The question is like, how effective are those teams necessarily? Not that maybe we don't want to get into that.
I mean, A, I don't know yet, but
Yeah.
B, that's their job. Like,
Well, here's the thing though, like I have a set number of sales I need to meet, and once I meet it, I'm actually going to hire some art school kid from around here to do my shipping and take over posting to Facebook for me and do those things. And it's not a big number. It's really low.
that's fantastic. Then, I mean, then maybe getting a publisher to do those things for you is not a high priority.
Yeah.
But that's something that you need to answer for yourself. And the thing that you trade off, like working with publishers, is you have somebody that's going to pay you the money to make the thing, and then they'll run off and do some of the promotion anyway.
Yeah.
But the trade-off then is that for someone like you that likes to have control of the creation and editorial process, you're going to have to share some of that with your editor.
Ugh.
And with the production team who are going to have the final say on what the cover looks like and that sort of thing.
Listen,
Yeah.
I just want someone important to tell me I'm beautiful, okay?
Oh, honey.
I think you're beautiful.
All right,
Yeah.
good enough.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, but it doesn't seem like, yeah, for you, it seems like you're probably doing a great thing. I mean, I understand that too, and that, like, I have a hard time working on a project where I'm not sure if anybody cares. I mean, like, you guys kind of have, like, numbers to show that you care about stuff, and, like, it's tricky. Like, most of my numbers I get from, like, runoff from you guys. Like mostly it's like Mike retweets something I do, and then I get a couple followers, and I go, yeah, align myself with Mike. This is part of my power play to have you carry me on your back towards being famous.
So I could totally get you in with about 15 mid-20-year-olds.
Yes, that's all I need. All I need. But I don't know. Yeah, it's mostly up to you. I wish there was a good answer. But I mean, like, but it's mostly just ultimately is keep on chugging at the end of the day. It's just like keep on doing your thing and making, like, yeah, it's like they're all tough calls. And if they weren't, then like more people would be making them.
Yeah. Well, I think my thing is, like, I can't draw something without sharing it. And I could not I don't think I could sit through doing a 200-page book without sharing at least half of it publicly.
Yeah,
and
it's huge.
That's what Patreon is for. You lock that shit behind a dollar sign.
I mean, my Patreon is now at $61, and I'm pretty excited.
Dude, that's more money than I'm making.
That's such a low number to be this excited about.
I'd be super excited for $61.
Wait, is Patreon just a website where people give you money?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, basically.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
but
want Patreon.
I mean, I think if I can keep getting people to subscribe, I did not get on Patreon for so long because I thought it was stupid and no one would ever subscribe. And like after like about a week, I'm at $61. I'm like, oh shit, I should have done this like a year ago.
Yeah, for sure.
Now I just feel like an ass.
Well, yeah. I don't know. It's all good. Doing it now.
So that's
the thing we talked about.
Yeah.
This is podcasting in real time.
Maybe we should talk about pitches a little bit and explaining what that is for people who don't know what that is.
I would like to know what that is because I have no idea. And
oh yeah, for sure.
Because I realized, like, we talked about our personal experience, but we sort of like skipped over that section of it because it is something that we have both done sort of informally and or are in the process of doing.
Oh yeah. I mean, like that's huge. Yeah, and that's definitely a thing because I do that. And that's like that's now about 60% of what I'm doing. I feel, or like maybe less, but I definitely spend like half my week trying to get people to let me do stuff. And then like the other half of the week is actually doing it. So yeah, I mean, yeah. What do you want to talk about pitching? I mean, like, is it pitching a graphic novel or pitching a short or pitching like something for Kaboom or pitching, I mean,
how much different is the process for each of the things? Because I mean, I know specifically, like, if you're already in touch with an editor, you can do something super casual and just send them a quick email. Like, for instance, like, I know that when I emailed the editor of Adventure Time about doing a backup story, I just sent them a quick blurb and was like, hey, I have this idea. Please let me know if it gets approved. Whereas, the graphic novel was a much more in-depth process.
Yeah. And I think it's just like about like how large you want to do a project for. I mean, like, like doing I've been doing a lot of stuff for like, the idea of potential TV shows or like potential shorts. And that's so long. I mean, like, or it's not even that long. It just like takes forever to lock in. Cause sometimes there's like a lot of like animatic work that needs to go. Like you need to like attach a lot of art and like you need to attach a lot of like potential stuff. Yeah, I imagine that's it for the graphic novel too. Like pitching a graphic novel without art attached to it seems sort of like tricky unless you have like the best idea ever.
Yeah, I would like for the pitch that I did for Abrams, even though they had already seen the 13-page short story, but for that I did a plot synopsis, themes, who the major characters are. I attached art of the major characters.
Yeah.
I think I maybe even attached like a really rough 3-act outline, like a
Yeah. Yeah. I
text-based
mean, like,
one.
right.
And then I attached the 13-page short story, which was a comic that they had already read because it was all the same project.
Okay. Yeah, that's huge. I mean, like, I've never been asked to pitch a graphic novel before, so like that's awesome, for anybody. I mean, like that's not that much different for a show. It's you mostly just talk about, you give it, but they want to know about characters mostly. And I don't know if that's the same with graphic novels. I know for TV shows, it's mostly like you want to talk about like the main characters and how they relate to each other and like why like the characters relating to each other is important before you even talk about like the world or even what the show is about. So like that's huge. Like you mostly need to know like what your guys are going to do under what situations and like why that's compelling. And you sell that and then you sell the show and then you sell like possible episodes or like, like situations where the two of them together would be interesting. And then you attach a little bit of art, for those characters and like those characters and situations. Sometimes, I mean, like if you're pitching like a short, you might want to do like keyframes of the short, or might want to do like a storyboard with, like a shorter storyboard, like without like keyframes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I mean, like that stuff's important. I definitely, I mean, like testing for storyboard stuff is mostly like they just give you a bump and then you do all the keyframes of the storyboard. Like they say, like do this bump in 40 storyboards, and then you just sort of do your spin on it and you send it off.
So specifically for pitching graphic novels also, I think we should point out that like everyone here has done individually hundreds and hundreds of pages of comics. And
Oh
like
yeah, for sure.
I don't think if an editor got the best pitch they'd ever seen from somebody, they're like from somebody who's like, I want to draw this, and they had not personally drawn several hundred pages of comics, I would not believe that person could actually finish it.
Oh yeah, for sure. So yeah, I mean, like that has something to do with it too. Yeah, it's just about like I don't know, doing a million projects. I mean, like they say that like you don't really know how to draw comics until you've drawn like 1,000 pages.
Mm-hmm.
That's not true. I still have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I think
I
it's
mean, I don't know.
I think it's
might not
2,000
agree with
pages
that.
actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like definitely the first time I heard that, I just thought in my head, like, whoever said that is an asshole.
I
Yeah.
thought it was much higher than that. I thought it was like 10,000.
It's 10,000
Well,
hours.
yeah, 10,000
okay.
hours to become proficient at anything.
Yeah, it's the 2,000 pages is from the Cerebus Guide to Self-Publishing.
Got it. Okay, I'm getting
Okay.
my phrases mixed
So,
up.
and we've all seen his pages. Like one of his
Oh.
pages is like 12 of mine.
Well, I know he also has like a dude to do all this heavy lifting, like dude Gerhard.
No, he did some fucking heavy lifting too. Like they were both insane.
Yeah.
Like-
Well, I mean, like that's, I mean, but they also had this huge key to success where like they made an outrageous promise and then did it. I mean, like I feel like that might be like the real meat of this thing, like the real like key to success here is about like making outrageous promises and then following through on them. I mean, like for Mike, like that seems like your huge thing where you were at CCS and you were like, no, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw like a page every day. I'm going to put out a bunch of books and I'm going to put out a graphic novel and I'm going to make money doing that without anybody's help. And we all like, I mean, cause like in my head, I went like, well, okay, you're a crazy person, but good luck. I'll see you later when you bottom out. And then I never saw you again. Next time I saw you, you were doing that thing.
Well,
And it floored me because I've never seen anybody do that before. And like, it's huge.
but that's the thing. It's like if you're gonna say no, fuck your system, fuck your game, like you're going to have to lift some heavy bricks. Like,
Then yeah, and that's what's up. And like that's how the people that get picked for these projects are dudes that can lift heavy bricks. So I mean, like the best way to jumpstart yourself, like to be like Joe wanting to draw graphic novels to like Joe drawing graphic novels is to start like moving some heavy stuff around. And the best way to move heavy stuff around is to like make insane promises and then do them. Like
Yeah.
people notice, people notice for sure. I mean, like the only way like I got that stuff going, like the only way I've got like the Kaboom stuff through and like I got, more projects and I got people kind of interested in what I'm doing now. I mean, like this is the first time where I have like enough freelance to be, busy all the time. And like that all happened in like the last couple months. And what happened there was like, I really, like, I knew I was going into another, like, winter in Maine, and I hated that, and I was like, and to not be really bummed, I just started, like, calling up everybody I knew and introducing all of these projects, being like, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to do that thing, and then, like, going forward and doing it. And so, like, now in the meantime, I'm doing comics for, like, 3 different people, and I'm doing an anthology, and I'm doing some, like, posters, and I'm doing, like, more work than I've ever, like, 5 times more work than I've ever been comfortable doing before. But, like, suddenly now I'm on a podcast, and suddenly, like, now I'm getting taken seriously. And it's just about, like, you know, and it's not like I'm at all comfortable with doing that stuff, but I just promised somebody I would.
Yeah.
And that, you know, and that makes it real. Like, that's, you know, that's what ties it in. Just, you know,
So,
that's it.
Well, what I was saying is I actually got to scoot soon, but I have, like, sort of a closing thought of maybe if somebody is trying to do something, maybe don't approach Boom or Ad House, but, like, maybe there's, like, hundreds of small press things. Like, when I was doing my small press thing, like, anyone who was competent who came to me when I was doing Milk Money Books who said, hey, I want to do a book, I would have immediately put out their book. And there's all these other small ones that, like, you can approach. Like, you don't have to approach Boom. Like, there's
for sure.
There's Hickenhawk. Like, is that a thing still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing is there's hundreds of tiny people now, and, like, if you go to Boom with nothing, you'd be like, hey, what's up? Like, they don't have any reason to believe you could actually do something. But if you say, I did these 5 comics for these small publishers, and I did it on time, and they did reasonably well for these publishers, that means a lot more.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, I mean, definitely, like, definitely, like, that, like, the Milk Money thing got me started in a way. Like, it definitely got me out of a rut. I mean, like, you know, needing to do something for Milk Money got the comic done. And, like, I mean, like, the comic didn't end up, like, working out that well, but then I was sitting on, like, suddenly I had a couple actually bad experiences with small publishers in that they would keep folding as I was doing them. But I had, like, at the end I had 50 pages and I released them all at once on my Tumblr, and, like, suddenly that made me look legit. Like, suddenly, like me releasing a page a day for 50 days is, like, a thing that'll get, like, a head turning.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, you know, yeah, it's like, I mean, like, don't get bummed when stuff doesn't work out. Like, you know, cannibalize everything you do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, that's the thing is those things I was doing at CCS when I was lifting those heavy bricks, a lot of that stuff went into my Lion's Teeth stuff. I just reprinted that shit.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I mean, like, that's a huge thing too. It's like, yeah, never let go of anything you do, and, like, you know, always spin it.
We should probably wrap up because this place I'm in is closing. But
okay.
But thank you for being on the podcast, Andrew.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I hope this was good.
Yeah. Do you maybe want to come back again at some point in the future?
I will come back at any time, anywhere, anyhow.
Okay.
I am delighted to spend time with you guys.
Well, do you want to say your website again?
Okay, my website is comicsareforkids.tumblr.com.
Hey, Rachel.
Yeah.
You want to say your website again?
Mixtapecomics.com.
And I'm Mike King, and my website is www.pleasekeepwarm.com, all caps. And talking about heavy lifting, can I announce that I'm doing another strip now?
Hey!
I'm going to start doing a second strip called The Golden Boy, which is about a boy and his dog. And that starts next Monday.
Awesome.
Okay.
So,
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, this should be good. But so also we should say Dave's email.
Oh yeah, we neglected to mention we are down a Dave Mercier this week, but you can read his comics online at darkworks.com.
What's his email?
.net? No, we're not putting his
No,
email
I want people
out.
to email him. Okay.
No.
Okay.
I have no idea. I checked his comics out to get ready for this podcast, and they're pretty good. He's a funny guy.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
should check his stuff out.
Okay. Well, I love you guys.
Love you too.
I'll talk to you guys next week. Maybe Andrew next week, but definitely Rachel next week.
Okay, I'll see you
Awesome.
next week.
Hey.
All right,
Hey.
take care.
Hey.
Hey.
That's it. Bye.